IPB University, Dr. Insinyur Amiruddin Saleh MS, and to all the speakers, welcome to Professor Andre M. N. Rezaho from Western Sydney University of Australia, and welcome also to Dr. Jana Kochi from Charles University, Czech Republic, and also welcome to the beautiful one. She's Dr. Eva Riani from Human Resources Development Center of IPB University. And of course, to our moderators today, Dr. Johan David Wotik. Welcome, Mr. And to all the distinguished guests, and welcome, of course, to International Seminar by P2SDM LKPIPB University about child well-being and child protection, global and nationalist challenges. Tepuk tangan untuk kita semua. Baik, to all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first we'll sing National Anthem Indonesia Raya. Kepada Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, kami persilakan untuk dapat berdiri. Please have a seat. Thank you so much. So to all the excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for opening this meeting, we'll start from praying together by Mr. Firman. To Mr. Firman, time is yours.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera, salam sehat untuk kita semua, baik Ibu Bapak sekalian. Mohon izin saya akan membacakan doa ini. Sesuai dengan tuntunan agama Islam, silakan Ibu Bapak sekalian untuk menyesuaikannya sesuai dengan agamanya masing-masing. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yu'afi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhika wa 'azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Ya Allah, yang Maha Pengasih, lagi Maha Penyayang, puji dan syukur kami panjatkan kehadirat-Mu, karena atas limpahan rahmat-Mu, pada siang hari ini kami dapat berkumpul dalam acara pembukaan seminar internasional Child Wellbeing and Child Protection Globally and National Challenges. Semoga acara yang kami laksanakan ini selalu berada dalam lindungan dan ridho-Mu. Ya Allah, yang maha mengetahui lagi maha bijaksana, karuniakanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat dan berikanlah kami kemudahan dan pemahaman selama mengikuti seminar internasional ini. Ya Allah, janganlah Engkau palingkan hati kami setelah Engkau berikan petunjuk. Rahmatilah kami, ampunilah kami, sehatkanlah kami, sehatkanlah keluarga kami, dan mudahkan segala urusan kami. Ya Allah yang Maha Perkasa, berikanlah kami kekuatan, kesabaran, dan keikhlasan dalam mengikuti seminar internasional ini, serta bimbinglah kami ke jalan yang Engkau ridhoi. Allahumma agnina bil ilmi, wajjayna bil hilmi, wa akrimna bil taqwa, wa jamilna bil afiyah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah, wa fil akhirati hasanah, wa qina adzaban nar, wa qina adzaban nar, wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Mr. Firman. And ladies and gentlemen, for this moment, our first agenda is a welcoming speech from Head of Human Resources Development Center, Dr. Insinyur Amiruddin Saleh MS. And now we have connected by Zoom with him. Okay, so Mr. Amiruddin, time is yours.
Oke, terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be as all. I respect head of LKPE IBB University, Dr. Naufal Mahmud MM, all the leaders of Center for Human Resources Development, IBB University, all respected speakers, seminar participants, and all attendees, both online and offline. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna talk intensively about this issue of child well-being and child protection, especially in global and national challenges from the expertise. Before jump into those interest topic, I would like to show my gratitude to Professor Andre Henzaho from Western Sydney University, Australia, Dr. Jana Kochi from Charles University, Czech Republic, and Dr. Yulina Eva Riani from Center for Human Resources Development, IPB University Indonesia. Hopefully, this seminar can become a space for intellectual academic interaction with its collective, collegial in nature for academic researchers and intellectual from across all disciplines in order to inspire the emergency of idea and the rationalization of the concepts. Finally, by asking for God's blessing and saying, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare this international seminar of official open. I wish the entire series of events can run smoothly and successful, bring the result and benefit and expertise. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Amarudin. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and to all the speakers, welcome Bapak. Silakan, kami persilakan untuk dapat menempati duduk yang telah kami sediakan. Okay, our next agenda is a welcoming speech again from Head of Institute for Leadership and Executive Education, represented by Deputy Chairman for Certification and Competency, to Dr. Priya Sembada. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our honorable invited guest, Deputy Chairman of IPB University, Head of Research Center for Human Resources Development, P2SDM IPB University, Bapak Dr. Amiruddin, Heads of Divisions and Quality Groups of P2SDM IPB University, postgraduate students supervised by Dr. Yuliana Eva Riani and Dr. Amiruddin Saleh, distinguished speakers, Prof. Andre Renzaho from Western Sydney University, Australia, Dr. Yuliana Eva Riani from P2SDM IPB University. We'd also like to welcome our speakers from Charles University, Czech Republic, Dr. Jana Kochi, and participants. Welcome to the International Seminar, Child Wellbeing and Child Protection, Global and National Challenges. Research Center for Human Resources Development, P2SDM, IPB University, is very pleased to host this international seminar in Bogor. Your presence and insightful contributions have been the pillars of this event's success. Your passion and expertise have not only enriched our discussion, but also inspired us all. I cannot proceed without expressing my deepest appreciation to the organizers, staff, and all supporters of this program. Your unwavering dedication and hard work have been the backbone of this event. From the meticulous planning to the seamless executions, your efforts have been nothing short of exemplary. I hope you enjoy the seminar, and on behalf of the IPB University, the organizing committee, and I would like to apologize if during this event there happened to be any inconvenience or anything that doesn't meet your expectation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Priya, for the welcoming speech. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our main agenda, is presentation by the speakers. But of course, we will start this meeting by the moderators is Dr. Johan David Watoi. Dr. Johan David is a lecturer from IPB University and from STIA Kalpataru Cibinong, and lecturer from STIA Dharma Bumi Putra Jakarta, and also is a teacher of mathematics from SMK Borneo and SMK Budi Dharma Kota Bogor. And to Dr. Johan, time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Zara, as a master of ceremony of this event, the international seminar, that the title is Child Wellbeing and Child Protection to the Global and the Nationality. In this will be information to you about our agenda. Firstly, our agenda, the first speakers of this seminar is Professor Andre Renzaho, but Professor Andre still on the way to here. Is it right, Mrs. Eva? On the way, okay. In stuck in traffic in Cisarua. That's why our will be re-agenda. The first three speakers of this seminar is already joined in here. Dr. Jana Kochi. Are you already joined this Zoom? Miss Jana Kochi?
Beautiful day. I hope that you can hear me, that you can see me.
Okay, thank you. Already joined to our. I also looks your picture, your photo is look like same Celine Dion. Is it right? Yeah, I thought your is any relationship with Celine Dion? It's so far, yeah.
Nothing that I know of.
Oh,
But
God.
terima kasih for saying it.
Okay. And I already get the information you are in Bali, no? Is it in Bali?
Yes,
Yes, Bali.
in Bali.
In Bali. How's Bali? Miss Jana?
Oh, Bali is amazing. As the whole Indonesia is
Indonesia.
amazing. So I'm just
Okay. Yes. You're welcome to Indonesia and also you're welcome to our international seminars. We are now in seminar in Bogor. Have you been to Bogor?
terima kasih.
Have you been to Bogor?
I have been. It's been few weeks since I visited. Yes, I visited
Okay.
IPB University.
Okay.
And such a pleasure when I met your students and everybody was
Okay.
amazing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this seminar, also in off cam in here, in this room, already have almost 20 participants in this room. We also have a students of S2. Yeah, S2 degree is from Science of Family Science and Child Development is also will be same with our seminar is about the child well-being and child protection. Okay, welcome to hear seminar. And about that, also the same, same. Also it's about 10 participants in this room, and also he has had a lecturer from the vocational school of IPB University. Also have a participant of Juanda University, and also welcome Mr. Hamza and Mr. Yanefri. Yeah. And now already joined is our participant join in this webinar in online is almost about 140. Okay. Okay, we are so proudly about this participant is have a lot. Okay. As you know that this in this room is being held in Hotel Pajajaran, yeah, Bogor City. As you know, the Bogor City is the rain city. And if you sit in here, yes, it's in the view of you is very beautiful. And in the front of our room, we will look like the Chile rivers. It's so nice and so beautiful in here. Okay, I don't want to take a lot of time about my prologues. I want to directly to the first speaker, Miss Jana Kochi. I haven't yet, Mrs. Jana Kochi, I haven't yet get your CV. Do you mind to introduce first about about your CV, if you don't mind, and we will directly to your presentation. Yeah, that I already get. Your title is about student well-being and awareness of well-being in Czech Republic. Is it correct?
Yes,
Okay. If you want to.
absolutely correct.
Okay.
Terima kasih.
Yeah, well. Okay. Time is yours, Miss Jana Kochi.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you very much for your time you devoted to organize this event, because organize conferences and meetings like this takes a lot of energy and a lot of devotion of the time. And I would like to say thank you for letting me to participate and to share with you some little knowledge on student well-being in Czech Republic. I really hope that you can all hear me and see me. I would like to ask you maybe if you can confirm that everything is working in the chat. Maybe if you can just send a message, because right now or maybe if you can just nod that everything is working.
Mhm. You want to know the confirm about the notes?
Perfect. So it seems that you can hear me, that you can see me.
Okay.
If there
Right.
please was any issue, let me know and we can try to do something.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'm getting messages that it's all working. So if I might briefly introduce myself, my name is Jana Koči and I come from Czech Republic. I am an assistant professor at Charles University in Prague. Prague is the capital city of our country. And Charles University is the biggest university we have. It's a public university and we have 17 different faculties. We have faculty of law, faculty of medicine, faculty of social sciences, and I personally come from faculty of education. So I am working on a daily basis with our future teachers. And I would like to say thank you for organizing such a beautiful event on such an important topic. And also thank you for being here, learning about this topic, or presenting or making this all happen, because it would not be possible without your effort. And my specialty is health and well-being in university students and in academia. So basically how to build and support well-being of our students, but also all employees, our colleagues, and university management. And well-being is a beautiful topic that is related to all of us. And here I know that we focus on children. The topic is child well-being. And how I see that, how I hopefully can contribute is to introduce you how we are implementing the topic of well-being into our education, and how are we educating the future teachers on how to build and develop well-being in our children. So if I might share my screen and share my presentation, and if I know correctly, I have about approximately 30 minutes to talk to perfect discuss this topic.
Okay.
I really hope that you can.
You will finish earlier. 30 minutes. 40 minutes. Okay.
30 minutes? Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. If I was talking more than I should, please let me know. But again, thank you very much for being here and for being interested in topic of well-being. I would like to discuss today specifically a group of university students, but as I mentioned, I will do my best to do the relation to younger children. And I would like to show you some numbers at the beginning that are not very nice, some statistics on well-being, or I would even say ill-being in Central Europe or in Czech Republic. And then I would like to shift, then I promise the rest of the presentation is going to be positive and good. So we are going to define well-being. And remember, how do we define mental health? I would also like to introduce you new theory of well-being. I'd like to discuss something called building blocks of well-being. What are we supposed to support in our life so we can generate well-being for ourselves? And I would also, at the end of the presentation, like to share with you some results of our research at Charles University that we've conducted across our students. So if I might start the opening with not very nice numbers, but I think it's important to state or look at where are we standing right now. So the word well-being is becoming more and more popular, as we all might have noticed, especially also after COVID. But I do believe that we all noticed that even besides the world pandemic, well-being or mental health specifically has been decreasing within the last few decades. It's not only post-pandemic issue or challenge, but we have data showing that mental discomfort across all age groups have been declining. But what if we want to Google the word well-being, what well-being actually means, what it is? So as we can see, there are many different topics on Google Scholar that we are interested in, from searching for some scales or looking at very popular topic, well-being of children. That's why we are here today. Well-being in workplace. If we have some questionnaires, and I hope that we are going to touch a few of these topics today. Considering academia and considering university students, I would say across all the age groups, we've been facing and we've been hearing about mental health crisis among adults, also among children, but also among university students. Many university students or college students are experiencing symptoms of serious mental health condition. And you probably are noticing that the year for the statistics are years of world pandemic. So we would maybe expect that the numbers got a little better now, but by today, we also have the data on post-pandemic. And unfortunately, it's been shown that the data is almost similar. So during the school year 22-21, more than 60% of college or university students met criteria for at least one mental health problem. Depression and anxiety are common mental health conditions among students in such a level that we kind of can call it something like a new normal. Like it's been becoming a norm. We can expect that a certain portion of students that we work on a daily basis have mental health challenges, including depression and anxiety. And not only this, but mainly this is a reason why campuses and universities are rethinking their approach. Today we're thinking, okay, well-being is a topic and mental health is a serious goal for us as universities. There are some strategies we should implement, and there are some steps we should do to support our students, but not only students, the whole academia culture into building well-being and mental health. I'm gonna have the same slide in Czech. I'm just gonna skip it. Here we have some not very nice numbers, but let's face the statistics. According to World Health Organization, mental health illnesses will be the leading group of illnesses in 2030. Up to today, the leading illness has been a cardiovascular illnesses for the last few decades, and for the first time in a new history, there is a prediction that there is going to be a new leading illness worldwide by 2030, and it is mental health problems. 30% of students worldwide report that, and these numbers can be also implemented into younger students, not only university students, because at my faculty, we look a lot on also mental well-being of children and how can future teachers can get prepared for these challenges. And we see that the numbers are very similar, that a huge portion, significant portion of a school class students report that their anxiety is significantly impacting their academic achievement or school achievement. That they feel like due to anxiety, they are not performing as good as they could. Here we have numbers for specifically Czech Republic, that we know that in 2023, 35 young people died as a result of suicide. When we looked at the numbers in total, if we include all age groups, for 2023, it was 1,300 adults in Czech Republic took their life away. And so if we look at kids, children, and very young adults as our college students, it's approximately 35 students per year. And just to comparison, we have 10 million citizens. Indonesia has 280 million citizens. So the number would be actually almost 30 times bigger for Indonesia. It would be almost 1,000 young kids and young adults taking their life away every year due to suicide. So the numbers are increasing and very sad. If we can look to another statistics, we see here in the right upper corner that 50% of mental illnesses are developed until 14 years of the age and 75 until 25 years. So we're basically working or talking about a group of very sensitive group of children and young adults that we can expect the mental health issues to be almost developed by they finish the university. And 1 in 5 college students is diagnosed with mental health illness. I remember a few years ago, World Health Organization was showing statistics that the prediction is approximately, we are guessing that 1 in 5 college students has mental problem, mental illness. Thus, it meant the statistics is most likely this high, but the students are not necessarily officially diagnosed. By today, in 2023 and 24, we know, we have a data that 1 in 5 college students is officially diagnosed with some mental health issue. So the numbers might even be higher, including those students who are not diagnosed. Let me go to another slide with still not very nice numbers, but in developed countries, we see that suicide is the second most common cause of death for people aged 10 to 19, which is also alarming number. And the cause number one is accident for young adults and kids. So the cause of death, number one is accident, and number two is suicide. And we see that many young men and women are reporting that they, at least once in their life, harmed themselves for any reason. And here we see that college students suffer from depression, and we go from the most common challenges. So depression is challenge number one. Then we have anxiety, suicidal thoughts, eating disorder, and substance use. And the prevalence of depression and anxiety in population increased 3 times, and anxiety 2 times across nations. And the question is, why is that? Why is this happening? And I was so shocked when I first came to Indonesia to collaborate with dear colleagues here, and hearing their stories and hearing or studying the numbers and what's the situation like here. I was so shocked how similar the situation is to Central Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, but also to United States. Like, this is very global issue. So the reasons might be, just think for yourself right now. What do you think? Why is it happening? Why are mental issues on the rise? And some of the reasons, it's definitely a combination of many factors. Some of the factors might be, of course, the pandemic. But it's believed that if pandemic was not here, the trend was the mental health issue were increasing. It just speeding that up. So another determinant is that the trend was here, and the new generation is different. There are different lifestyles, different characteristics, and of course we see how quick and fast the current society is. How do we communicate via social media? How social media play a huge role in everyday life of young adults. But also, we've been talking more and more about health and mental health. It might also be a reason why young adults and children are more open to discussions and more open to share how are they feeling compared to maybe different or older generation. There are so many factors, but the facts are that we are facing increasing challenge. But if I might just remind what well-being is, because from my understanding, you in Indonesian don't have a proper translation for the word well-being. It's the same in my country. We don't have a Czech word for well-being, so we are using this English term. So what actually well-being is? When we flip it, when we look at that, it's being well. Now it kind of like makes more sense. It's like, okay, it's when I am being and I am well. But what does the well mean? It can mean that we feel balanced or we are balanced, but it can also mean that we are safe or we feel safe. We feel calm, friendly, or loving, and so much more. I would like you, each of you, for yourself, to add what well-being or being well is to you, because it's going to be slightly different to each and every of us. But I also would like to emphasize that being well is not only about positivity and feeling positive and desired emotions or having only good experiences. Being well actually is to be able to navigate life in its wholeness, to be able to sit with negative emotions that are very precious navigators, to understand why are we feeling what we are feeling. It helps us understand what is important in our life and what is not. It's also about being able to have uncomfortable conversations about maybe some topics that are important if we want to be well, that supports our well-being. If we can openly talk about our needs, and also if we, for example, learn to say, for example, to say no, it might be very uncomfortable. It's not a good feeling. But if we want to be well, if we want to maintain well-being, we need to do these slightly uncomfortable or go through the uncomfortable situations. So I just wanted to say that well-being is not just wearing a pink glasses and everything is like a smiley faces and everything is bright. Part of well-being is definitely a very important part, our negative emotions and challenging experiences. But let me skip the check part. Here we have a study conducted by Leah Waters and her colleagues looking at, in positive psychology or in psychology generally, in research, what are we writing about? What are we reading about? What are we doing research on? And they have put together something called Positive Psychology Dictionary. These are the most common words that appear into scientific journals. And here we have, on the left side, we have Education Dictionary. But I would like us to lead to the Psychology Dictionary. We see word stems, for example, like flourish. So the stem flourish can be for flourishing or flourished, and so much more. And for example, medit, we have medit on the right side. So it can be for meditation, meditate, meditative. But all the words related to these stems are the most common words we use in the literature. Here we have top 20 words. And in last year, there are 4 new word stems that made it into top 20. And those are well-being, satisfaction, motivation, and engagement. So I just wanted to show that well-being, not only we are more aware of, but we read, do research, and write articles on more than ever before. So it's a kind of, even though I do believe that the culture of questions related to well-being, like what is happiness, how can we achieve satisfaction in life, what can we do to feel whole and complete, those are questions that have been here since the whole humanity. But the modern word well-being is more on the rise right now. I would like to take a step back actually from mental health right now to look at well-being a little more holistically. Here we see the World Health Organization definition of health. So World Health Organization says that health is a complete state of mental well-being, intertwined with social well-being, and combined with physical well-being. So well-being on its essence is a very holistic state of being when we feel not only mentally well, but also socially and also physically. If we look at well-being from this point of view, and we want to support mental health of children, of our teachers, of our students, not only we have a possibility to increase or take care of our mental well-being, but we can very well influence our mental health also through physical well-being and social well-being. And vice versa. If we want to develop physical health, we can go through mental, physical, social well-being, the same for social. Now I would like to introduce you to something called a new theory of well-being. So in 2011, Professor Seligman introduced the world with his book, Flourishing. And in this book, he introduced a new theory of well-being called PERMA. PERMA is acronym for something called building blocks, the area of our life that help us generate happiness, life satisfaction, and well-being generally. And those are positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. So it matters for each and every of us. And this is very scientific based, very rigorous theory on what is that help us to generate our happiness and life satisfaction and good mental health. So of course we need positive emotions. We need to experience positivity. We need to experience feeling of being safe or content or fulfilled, being in awe, inspiration. All the positive emotions play a very big role in our well-being. Then we have engagement. If we feel engaged in what we are doing, we are interested and focused on the activity, it's basically the opposite of boredom. But also really relationships. The summary of all the relationships in our life that help us generate good life. But then meaning, do we feel like our life has a meaning and it has a purpose and it's meaningful? It doesn't have to be only the meaning of our life, but also we see meaning in everyday life, small activities. For example, in students, why do I have to learn this? Why do I have to go there? Or when I'm doing this at work, does that make sense to me? Do I see the meaning in it? And also achievement. But achievement, I would like us to look at achievement a little differently than how we look at achievement from cultural perspective, because sometimes culture and society tells us that achievement is to have a very good job, high paycheck, we get married, we have built a house and all these things, but that might be counterproductory. I would like us to look at achievement as we finish or accomplish something that we wanted to finish or accomplish. We have some goal, we have some task, and we want to finish it. We want to reach it, we want to do it, and we did. That's achievement. So all those activities can be such small, like making yourself a healthy breakfast or getting up in the morning on a first alarm on your phone, or making time to relax or meditate, or calling your loved one. Those are also achievements. So that's the year 2011. In 2019, we got few more extensions: PERMA H, PERMA V, PERMA plus 4, and now we have also PERMA plus 5. So up today, till today, PERMA H is PERMA, those 5 building blocks, including health. It's a theory from Australia. Or for example, PERMA V, V stands for vitality. So we're like extending the building blocks that help us to build our well-being. Or PERMA plus 4 is about physical health, but also mindset, environment, and economic security. And PERMA 5, these are results of research that we've been doing at Charles University. We've been looking at specifically university students, and we've been seeing that there is one more building block that appear to be important for university students, and that is authenticity. So today, we know in 2024 that there are 10 building blocks that help us to build our good life. So what we've done in Prague, in Czech Republic, is that we took these 10 building blocks and we fractioned them down into subsections, sub-building blocks. So for example, I hope I still have time to talk. Do I still have like maybe 5-10 minutes? Is it okay? I hope. Okay, terima
Okay,
kasih.
it's okay.
Terima kasih. So, for example, physical health. We broke physical health down into nutrition, proper physical activity, sleeping, relaxation, breathing, avoidance of risky behaviors. So this is what we did with each building block, and we created a questionnaire, and we threw that questionnaire on our students, and we asked on a scale 0 to 10, how are you doing? How are you feeling in all these areas across all the 17 faculties at Charles University? So here we have how our students described what is well-being to them, most with one word. Most commonly, it was comfort, but it's a word that doesn't have English translation. If we want to say comfort in my language, we say comfort, but this word pohoda in my language is something really different. It's more like ease in life, and students say like chill or easygoing vibe, like feeling just like that we can relax. So that was the most commonly used word. But then also satisfaction, calmness, or not being stressed, being in harmony, balance, and experiencing health. And now, from all the almost 80 different areas of their life, I would like to show you where the students feel most frustrated, where they feel least happy, and vice versa. What are the 10 areas where they self-assess themselves with the highest numbers? So the bottom 10, here we have the results. The worst our students feel about their investments, which makes sense because being a student is not only financially demanding, but also students focus all their time and energy on studies, and they don't have much room or opportunities to work. So finances, investments, but then also body posture. Students don't feel good about their body posture. And every time I say this, I feel like my body intuitively wants to stand properly. So body posture, and then faith and spirituality.
Yes.
Faith and faith.
Welcome, Professor Andre, to this. Okay.
Beautiful day, Professor Andre.
Let's continue. Never mind.
Can I continue?
He's just arrived. He's Professor Andre.
Good news. Those are
Okay,
amazing
yes,
news.
okay.
Welcome. Terima kasih. So the third area of students' life where they don't feel comfortable is faith and spirituality. And I think this is very specific for my country because due to First and Second World War and the communism, we became less religious and even much more less spiritual. So I think it's specific for our students. But then enjoyment of what you do at school. Our students don't enjoy what they do at school. They kind of feel like they're lacking enjoyment at school, but also they're lacking engagement. They feel bored. They feel like they're not always having fun doing all the school activities. They could use more relaxation. They would like to relax more, but also they don't see meaning. Why do you have to do everything they have to do? And they don't enjoy working, or when they have a job, they feel like they're very bored in the job, and they are lacking the ability to focus. And the 10th parameter was savings. They're not very happy about their savings. Vice versa, if we look at where did they self-assess themselves the best, those were relationships with friends. They gave the highest average number to relationships with friends. This is where they feel very confident and very good. But also relationship with animals and pets, serving others, which is altruism, that people or students serve others and they don't expect anything back. Access to healthcare, which is also, I believe, specific for my country because we have free of charge healthcare and very available almost in every corner. We have either hospital or apothec. Then taking responsibility for your action. This is where students self-assess very high. Quality relationship with nature. They enjoy nature and their relationship towards nature. Shared positivity. This is interesting one. They feel happy when they see someone else to be happy. Or engagement in hobbies. When they do hobbies, they feel very interested, focused in here and now. Responsibility generally, and recognition and enjoyment of others' achievements. When they see that other people achieved something, they not only can recognize, but they can also enjoy seeing other people being successful. So these are the results, and we are right now working with IPV on not only translation, we already translated the tool, but on validation the tool, and we would love to assess also students at IPB, so we have a precise information on how is the well-being, or what is the well-being of your students like, but also from of other universities across Indonesia and in world. We also are right now collecting data with colleagues in Italy, in Germany, in USA, in North America, and here in Indonesia, and again in Czech Republic. And very last thing I would like to share with you, because I know that my time has gone. Here we have the 10 building blocks of well-being, and I would like you to think for yourself. I have here Indonesian version. Think for yourself, please. How would you rate yourself in your well-being? On a scale 0 to 10, meaning 0, I am not very happy, I need to do some changes, or you don't even have to do changes, just acknowledging that maybe I wish I was doing better here. I'm not happy nor satisfied in my positive emotions or engagement or relationships, meaning, achievement, physical health, and so on. And you can do all you can self-assess in all the areas, also in your engagement. Are you engaged in everyday life? Are you engaged in your hobbies? Then we have relationships. It's a summary of all your relationships with friends, family members, your loved ones, colleagues, people in community, your relationship with yourself. And then we have meaning. Do you see any meaning in what you're doing during your day? Do you see meaning in your life? And then we have achievement. Do you tend to finish what you start? Are you happy with your accomplishments? And physical health. Are you happy with your nutrition, physical activity, sleep, relaxation? Mindset. Is your self-talk positive? Is it serving you? Do you have serving or effective mindset or beliefs? Then we have environment. It includes your work environment in your community, your environment, maybe in academia at school, environment, your online environment. How much time do you spend in nature? And then we have economic security. How do you feel about your savings, maybe even investments? Are you happy with your money management? Do you have the knowledge how to manage your finances? And the last one, we have authenticity. Do you feel like you know yourself, you know what matters to you, what is important, and also you show that with the world. You know your passions, you know your values, and you're capable to bring to the world your true self, not only in conversations and relationships, but in your actions. So it might be something like your home assignment. You can maybe take a picture or just write it down and just think of all these 10 areas of your life and think of, how am I doing? It's going to help you to understand your well-being better. And very last thing, if you then maybe create a well-being wheel like we have here and connect the center with the points you gave yourself, you can create a flower and you can see immediately how are you doing in your well-being. So I would like to say thank you so much for
Yes,
listening.
you
Thank you so
also,
much for
thank you
for
also.
being here and for opportunity.
Okay, the marvelous presentation. Okay, give me a applause to Miss Jana. Jana
Terima
Kochi.
kasih.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Yes, a great presentation and also get the good time management. We also will be finished and you already and precisely 35 minutes. Thank you very much. Mini. I think we already discussed with Miss Yuliani Eva. We directly to Q&A session
Terima
for your
kasih.
presentations. Is it
Terima
okay?
kasih.
Is it
That
okay?
would be amazing. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be open the first session of Q&A. Okay, I appoint to this in this room. Yeah, I think 2 persons is okay. Is somebody in this room want to ask? And also in the chat room, we also have questions. Okay. Firstly, I want to point from this room. Is anyone from the college students? Yes, okay, one. Okay. Maybe you, okay, the mic will be given to the students. Yes, introduce your name first.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Are you heard, Miss Jana?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm here.
you can go to in the front. Yeah. Okay. You stand in here, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Hello, Miss Jana, and welcome to Indonesia also. My name is Sekar. I'm from student family education and child development. So I want to ask about, you said about the well-being is not just only a big achievement in our life, but in our society, as a woman in Southeast Asia, it's a lot of pressure in a social and family. Maybe like about the career, about the choosing, about the choosing family to be a housewife or maybe a woman entrepreneur or woman career is a big pressure in our society, in our family. So I want to ask, it's well-being is depend on the tradition or culture in the country also. So I think in Indonesia it's a big country and have cultural patriarchy called that woman should choosing about the career and family. And I want to ask that well-being is depend on traditional and culture, or what do you think about that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sekar. Have you catch the questions, Miss Jana?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
also the stressing on the patriarchal culture in Indonesia.
Terima kasih for beautiful and interesting question and important topic bringing up. And I love this question because, of course, there are differences not only in our cultures across the whole world, but there are differences. We are seeing differences in what generates our well-being across different cultures. So if I might give an example, this study we've done in Czech Republic, if we are replicating it here in Indonesia, we are going to see probably some deep-rooted similarities and some very big differences. And it's natural, it's across cultures. But what is interesting is about this is that different cultures have different strengths of different building blocks that help them to generate well-being. So we, for example, see that, if I might give example, if we cognitively self-assess, I think there was also a thing I wanted to mention, that it depends on the individual person, what he or she is generating or getting well-being from or satisfaction. But being raised in certain culture, this influence, this huge influence, gives a big predictability to on what are we gonna receive well-being from. But it might be different person from person, but there are similarities in cultures. And we are seeing that, for example, cognitively thinking, I am happy about my life. If we look at world statistics, the leading nations are Northern European countries such as Denmark, Finland, Sweden. Those are the happiest countries in the planet. And if we look at Indonesia, for example, from 155 measured countries, based on this cognitive, am I happy or not, point of view, Indonesia is 91st. But if we look at positive emotions and the amount of emotions we are getting in everyday life, Indonesia is second happiest country on the planet. So those are the culture differences, and I do believe that the same with success, what is seen as success is going to be different across cultures. But what is important is, do you identify with what the society says? Because if yes, it's absolutely going to help you to generate your well-being. That what society sees as success or good well-being, but it always goes to each person individually. That's why we call well-being, we call it as subjective well-being in literature, which means subjectively, how do you feel about this? Are also these, how we look at success, or these values for you? If yes, it 100% gonna help you to build your well-being through those shared values in your culture. But for whatever reason, if you don't resonate with those values and you have different values or different goals, different view on the world, that's what's going to help you navigate to your well-being, to listen to what is important to you specifically. I hope I helped at least a little to answer the question.
How? Sekar, you got the answer? Are you still not satisfied about the term of satisfaction? Okay. Perfect. Okay. It's still interesting to discuss because this topic in the first floor presentation is stressing student mental health is in crisis. Is it right? And yeah, you just mentioned that the Indonesia is the firstly also suicide. Is it right or not?
We were cutting a little bit, Mr. Right now.
The first,
if you can please repeat the question.
Okay, so
I just heard Czech Republic.
Oh, in Czech Republic, the suicides in Indonesia is the first.
Yeah.
Is it right? Suicides first in the global.
Suicide is the second.
Bukan.
Is the is the second leading cause in young adults and children. The first is accident. When you get into maybe car accident or accident on a bike or something like that.
Very interesting discuss now. Okay, I will see those from the chat. And that already we are you also Miss Jana? So the chat we also have.
Yes. Thank you so much for amazing
From
questions.
Mr. Novianto Giar Pangidung. Yeah, what is the right approach to dealing with the mental health and well-being of college students, middle and elementary school students were this what
My
few adults you can read and also have known about the questions from Mr. Novianto Giar Pangindong Malang. Mr. Novianto Giar Pangindong, are you also joined?
Yes.
Okay, as a teacher and lecturer. Okay, you can answering this
Terima
question.
kasih. Thank you again for very important thought on this topic, and that is how do we deliver well-being at schools, not only in at universities, but also in elementary schools, high schools, especially when some teachers or some adults who are creating the rules or creating the environment for the education don't see the topic as important. And this is definitely something, it's been a challenge also at our Faculty of Education when we are working with future teachers who are young students, 19, 20, 21, just coming to school, and we are talking about different topics of well-being and how important it is. We are helping, like we are together evolving our belief, or we see the importance of implementing strategies or doing steps to build well-being supportive culture. So it becomes natural, and they agree with that. And then they go to their work, to the schools, and they really do the changes on the organizational level. But sometimes we see challenge in teachers who are coming from practice, who have been teaching for 10, 15, 30, even 40 years. And they're coming back to university because they need to accomplish some degree or diploma, to get diploma. So those are usually much older, or either teachers or principals or school employees. And oftentimes from these students, we hear that, why are we even talking about this topic? Why do we even waste time on talking about well-being? And I oftentimes see this approach that you just described in the question in the chat. So thank you so much for that. And I believe that we all have to start with ourselves. So we have to provide them room or opportunity to start learning and caring for their own well-being. And once they start understanding what a difference it can really make in their life, then not only they are more pro to build well-being in their students, but they're also more skilled. They have more tools to help their students. So I think starting with ourselves and with each individual, then it helps to co-create.
Okay, thank you. I think I wish Mr. Nuswanto already heard your solutions, and I'm turn on to the who raised hand from this online Zoom. Mrs. Yovita Angelina. Miss Yovita Angelina.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Unmute. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly.
Yes, you are from.
Right. Beautiful
I do
day.
enjoy your session. Only about 30 minutes, but it's wow. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Terima kasih.
I'm a teacher, and I'm a mom from two. So it's right. And I do believe that every teacher is everybody's child, right? And this
That's
child
beautiful.
can be a teacher, right? And
This is your,
yeah, I have
you are from
just one
Palpet?
question.
Pet?
Okay, so
Palpet?
the
What is
question
Palpet?
is, these nurturing things from school and nurturing things from home, because I do believe that everything happen at school, it can be also learned at home. And my question is, how much percentage, or what is the biggest possibility for the teachers who really wants to take care of their children if they have problem at home and they don't have any problem at home? So yeah, so how do you take the percentage? It has the nearest relationship that those from home that they never got nurturing anything about the 10 positive things, that it will be more challenging for the teacher to do until the core. So that's my question. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, Mrs. Jovita, thank you so much for beautiful sharing, and also very, I love that you're from education, and I can tell that you're a teacher, that you care not only about students, but also about teachers. And you're so right that when we look at organization as a school, the challenge is that as teachers, we are trying to shape, we are trying to help, we are trying to be there for the students. But also there is one very huge element, and that is family. And that is also the previous education and previous shaping of the personality that happened before the kids entered the school. And that has profound impact. And so that's one determinant. That's the history that the kids come with to school. And also, since they enter the school, they're still very impacted by the family over the time they're at school. And oftentimes what's happening is that it doesn't go hand in hand what the kids are being taught or experiencing at school compared to what they are experiencing at home. So the influence is tremendous, is huge. And sometimes I hear from our students or my colleagues, like teachers from elementary and high schools, how challenging this is, that they can just try, and it almost feels like it doesn't have any effect because of the influence from home. But I promise, the deeper and the more profound influence from home, the more we have to remind ourselves that we have to persist, to try over and over, because that's the only way how to reprogram and show the students and the kids how the world can work differently. And it doesn't usually happen over time. So we just have to consistently show our best and create safe environment and create trusting environment, supportive. So at least they have one day, they become conscious of, I don't only have one experience, so I don't run my life based on that experience. I have two different experiences and I can choose. And hopefully they're going to choose the more positive approach for them and the people in the community. Thank you so much for beautiful question.
Lady Jovita.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm so sorry, Miss Gregorio Subanti. We have a limitation of time. And also, I'm so sorry, Mr. Arfan.
Okay, no worries.
Raise your hand because we have limitation of time. I will be end of this session. Also, thank you very much, Miss. To Dr. Jana Kochi, you have a marvelous presentation in here. Please praise also for the Miss Jana again. Okay, are we done?
Terima kasih.
Okay, to give
Thank you so much.
a certificate to
If
her for now.
If I might just
We want to live in Miss Jana Coffee. This is we will have a appreciate to you. We will give a certificate. This is our. We will show you to the certificate of your presentation.
Terima kasih so much.
Okay.
It's such a pleasure.
Do you mind if you want to, this is a certificate for you as a speaker
This
in international seminar, the title of child being and child protection. It's very nice and very excellent presentation and very interesting
beautiful.
title. Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much. And if I might please, I apologize.
Before you went to
I apologize.
about the photo section, about in here. Photo section. Okay, together.
I apologize, but I have to log off. But I wanted to say thank you to all of you and for everything that you're doing. And also those of you who we didn't have time to interact with your questions.
Okay.
Maybe you can ask the organizers for my email or WhatsApp and we can talk if you wanted to reach out. But I wish you all beautiful day. It's a beautiful event. Good luck with everything. I wish I could hear the rest, but maybe next time. And terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih kembali. Thank you. First, before you want to leave, you want to take a picture first?
I unfortunately. Oh yes, please. Let's do the picture.
Okay. The operator. Press on cam. How many page? 7 page. Okay. 7 page. Okay. First page. Oh, 4 page. 4 page. First page. Okay. Second page. Third page. And the last 4 page. Okay. And it's okay. Dr. Jana, once again, thank you very much. Okay. Maybe sometimes you can go to Bogor and also meet us, and also will be discussed in the specific, also the title of well-being. Very interesting. Once again, thank you very much. Okay. Now
Terima kasih. Have a beautiful day.
Okay. Okay, for the next presentation, there's next speakers. In the side of me, we already attend the very handsome man. Okay, Professor Andre, it's nice to meet you also. Okay, welcome to Bogor. And how the Bogor ferry traffic, is it? Stuck in Sarway. You can believe it. Okay, never mind. Okay, we are still continuing. The show must go on. Now, firstly, I haven't get your CV. Maybe you want to, as a speaker, you introduce your CV, about your experience, about your education first. And also, Mr. Andre from Australia is far away from Bogor. Right. Okay. Okay, it's not to take a long time. Its time is yours. If you want to in here, it's okay. Still sit in here.
Slides.
Okay. Mr. Professor Andre Rizano from Australia University.
So I would like to thank Selamat siang. Selamat siang.
Yes, bahasa. Yes. A lot.
Yeah, I can need to move this one. Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to, my name is Andre Renzaho. I'm from Western Sydney University in Sydney, but you can see I'm not white.
Oh, very white.
I'm not Australian. I'm not an Australian Aboriginal, no. I'm original from Congo. Does you know what Congo is? The Democratic Republic of Congo.
Congo, also in Africa, I see.
Indonesia and Congo, very good friends.
Is it? Congo
provide arms to Congo. And Congo buys a lot of stuff from Indonesia. So they are good. Our defense minister was even in Jakarta only 6 months ago. So very good relations, yeah. So originally from Congo, I've been in Australia for a while. My research is on global health, but crossing many themes, from child protection to biofuel to no communicable diseases. Yesterday I was giving a whole session on biofuel production and the food security. So there you are.
Food security.
Yeah.
I see.
So I've been in Australia for 18 years now. So you will see in my presentation, I have a slight French accent, so French speaker, but I'll do my best to make sure you understand me, right?
Okay.
Good. So I'd like to thank Eva for inviting me really to come here. It's always a privilege. I know Indonesia, Bogor. I know Bogor. This is, I would say, my 11th time, I think.
11th time.
IPB, I know very IPB well because I used to train for the World Health Organization in public health and complex emergencies, where we will train at IPB, but people come from Thailand, Philippines, all over to meet in IPB. I train them for a week. I go back to Australia, they go back
to
their
country.
So I know IPB well. So I'm privileged to be here. And I was happy when Eva, or I don't know how to pronounce your family name. Would you mind if I call you Eva? Or can I say Professor
Eva?
Doctor, can I say Dr. Eva?
Immediately.
So I was so privileged to hear Dr. Eva inviting me to come to talk to you today. And today I'm going to talk about child protection from a global, regional, and an Australian perspective. But it's a big subject. But I'll try to give you a quick overview, enough for you to form a picture of the complexities around child protection.
Professor Andre, we already joined in this Zoom online. 172 participants.
Fantastic. I hope they can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I see.
So
Okay, we already interact with him.
So let's talk about child protection from different perspectives.
And maybe your mic will be closer to your mouth. To be.
No, I have a big voice, so I'll put it closer. You'll go deaf. Deaf.
Oh,
my voice is too big. I can even do this, so it'll be okay. No, that's okay. So the advantage of this lecture, I'll be also presenting data from my research. So that's the advantage. So I can give you an idea of the kind of research I've been doing to address child protection issues. So let's start with child protection. What is it? This is a very divisive subject. In every country you will go, they will have different definitions of what constitutes child protection. But roughly speaking, child protection is a process of ensuring that children are safe from all perspectives, safe from physical abuse, safe for sexual abuse, safe from neglect, safe from maltreatment, safe from violence. So as you can see, it's a very good continuum. So abuse, neglect, violence, all those are issues related to child protection. However, child protection can happen in the home, like hitting a child. You didn't do your homework. Bah! That's abuse. It can happen in a community. Child labor. Children should not be forced to do labor. They should go to school. It can happen in school. Teacher hitting children. It's not acceptable. A teacher can touch my child, you've been in serious trouble. Okay? If you have a problem with my child, you talk to me, you don't hit my child. Okay? It can happen on the line. Bullying. Yeah? Bullying on the line. Or peer pressure. You know, peer pressure. So all those are seen as child abuse. Now, what are the most urgent, from a global perspective, what are the most pressing child protection issues? The first one is child neglect. You know, when you walk around in the street, you know, kids are begging for money and you don't know where parents are living. That's child neglect. So in most countries, they will never allow children to be on the street. Of course, when you go to Asia and Africa, you see them begging, but in most countries, they have a social protection system that prevents children going begging on the street because they have a payment. Like in Australia, if you're not employed, you get a very good salary. So there's no need for you to go on the street to be begging because you have a social security salary to keep you at home. We have the issue of child maltreatment, as I said, like hitting children at home, yelling at child. You know, in Australia, if you yell at child, you know what they'll tell you? If you do that again, I call child protection, you've been in serious trouble. You don't yell at your child. You sit with them, you talk to them like a human being. Not yelling, that's emotional abuse, okay? Child marriage, that's a big issue, and I'm putting Indonesia also, it's a big issue in Indonesia. It's a big issue wherever you will go. We have child trafficking in Asia, serious issue. We have in Africa, the biggest issue is child soldier, children being recruited in the army to fight along rebels. And the other big issue, I'm pretty sure in Indonesia, it's there. Well, no one talks about it, but in Africa we speak about it, is a female circumcision. But I hate using the Western word. It's called female genital mutilation. I hate that word with passion. I don't like it because when you look at, if we accept that female genital mutilation is an issue, you know what is the highest prevalence? It's in USA, it's in Australia, among white, but you know what they call it? Vaginal rejuvenation. For them, they give it a very good name. It's vaginal rejuvenation. I've had 3 children, I need vaginal rejuvenation. But if it's in Africa, in Asia, it's female genital mutilation. Very condescending. Culturally, I don't like that word, but I use it for the purpose of this presentation. But I'd rather use the word female circumcision. It's more neutral, it's not blaming, it's not insulting, it's not culturally pigeoning. Okay? We have infanticide, it's one of the biggest issues in Asia. Preference for boys, where, you know, although it is reduced, but still happening. And you go to some Asian country where if the first child is not a boy, they would actually abort until they become pregnant with a boy. So that is a serious child protection issue. There's exclusion, discrimination, child labor. In Australia, children detention centers, if you come to Australia illegally, even if you're a child, they just dump you in immigration detention center. It's a child abuse. And then we have sexual abuse and sexual exploitation. So let's start with globally. What are the interventions that are there to hold everyone accountable when confronted by child abuse? So we have what we call international instrument. This is only a 10th. I chose only the most relevant, but if you look at the international instrument on child protection, you come up with 52. But I didn't want to put everything here, but I wanted to give you a selection. So we have tools, instruments, and these are what we call, I don't know how much, do you know the difference between hard laws and soft laws? So hard laws are laws that hold people accountable, and if you're not accountable, you get punished by law. Soft laws are self-governing. Oh, I'm ethical, I self-govern myself, but if you commit a crime, no one can hold you accountable. You just, oh, I'm sorry, I will change my policy, but no one can punish you for having done anything wrong, right? So, but these one are what we call a mixture of hard and soft policies. So, for example, the Universal Declaration on Child Rights, right? That's a soft law. So they want government to sign it, but it's up to the government to decide whether they enforce it or not. So government can sign it, but whether they implement and evaluate and enforce it, that's another issue. Which means then we have this declaration, but most governments don't. They signed it, but how many governments have signed it but still have children being abused and neglected? They wouldn't do anything about it. The child rights being, violated, but no one can do anything. So this is a soft law. But we have, for example, the one on child prostitution, pornography, and the sale of a child. That's a hard law, because if you are caught, you get punished seriously. So in every country, they have laws that if you are found, you traffic the child, You can be punished by law. Then we have the right of a child on the involvement in armed conflict. That's a soft law because they're still recruiting. If you go to Congo, they're still recruiting them. It's up to Congo to decide whether they want to implement, evaluate, enforce it. So this is a soft law. Then we have the Convention on Maltreatment. Did anyone come to you? You hit your child, and Indonesia now comes say, you've been hitting your child, we're going to punish you. No. But in Australia, if it's proven you are beating them, they take the child away. You will never see the child again. They go. Bye-bye. And if you're lucky, after rehabilitation, 10 years, 15 years down the track, you can be reunified. So in Australia, we can enforce it, but most developing countries, low and middle income countries, don't enforce it. They are signatory, but they don't enforce it. Do we have so many laws? We have the child labor laws, conventions. Like in Australia, it's very regulated at age, so you can start working in Australia at the age of 14, but the minimum age is fixed by the government. So which means by 14, your salary is fixed by the government. You go to work, you know how many hours you work, you know how much money you'll be paid and how much tax. Usually they hold your tax. They hold your tax when you turn 18, they give you money back. Then 18, you start paying tax now, right? But most the low and middle income countries, you find children are working not paid. And they're working, they're underage, but they're not being paid. So there are so many laws, you can go to Google them and learn about them yourself. I don't want to bore you with these conventions. Let's go to the real stuff. Child marriage. Okay. Almost 20% of married women were married under the age, forced marriage or underage marriage. That's a serious issue. Now, the problem with underage marriage or early marriage is that you need to drop out of school, which means, because once you get married, the husband is going to tell you to continue to go to school. You become a wife. And if you can't finish school, it means, oh, sorry, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, it's showing the slide. If you can't go to school, it means that you can't economically compete because you've never finished secondary school. So either you end up doing a poorly paid job, if you are lucky, and your husband may not even allow you to go to work because you are seen as a minor, stay at home, make babies, become a mother, and unfortunately that poverty become intergenerational. So we know that if you were married early, underage, your children are more likely to follow the same path. And that intergenerational poverty will circulate in a family. That's the biggest issue. And early marriage, underage marriage, you're more likely to be a victim of gender-based violence. The husband beating you up because you're not respecting serving food on time, cooking a food according to their preference. So you become maltreated. You become almost like a slave, right? Now, this is an issue. It's a serious issue across the board. In Australia, you can't because the law is very clear. If you are caught underage, I can guarantee you that's it. It's prison. But it's still an issue in the low and middle income countries, a serious issue. You find polygamy, underage. You find somebody who is 60, have 4 wives. The first wife is 40, the last wife will be 50. So that for me, it's not acceptable, right? But it's happening. So what we are doing, what are the most example of intervention that can change this? Some of them is keep making sure girls remain in school. Because we know if we can succeed to prevent them dropping out of school, chance of them being married underage is close to 0. It reduces significantly. Now, how do we do it? In Australia, as I said, we have every child has a payment. Like if you go to school, if your parents have a good salary, that's okay. Then it becomes your parental responsibility. But your parents don't earn enough salary, you have a supplement to ensure you can look after your children, to ensure children don't start getting involved in criminal activity, dropping out school. So that's the strategy. So in most low and middle income countries, what we've been doing, some of the program we've been doing is what we call cash transfer. Has anyone heard about cash transfer programs? So the cash transfer programs, there are 2 types. There's conditional cash transfer, and there is unconditional cash transfer program. They are very popular in Africa, in Asia. I've evaluated many of them. And if you Google my name, like cash transfer, Renzao, you see all the cash transfer program in Nepal. I've published a lot on that. I'm the one who evaluated them for UNICEF, etc. And you can see how wonderful they are. So the way they work is, when they say, okay, you parents, how many daughters do you have? Oh, I have 5 daughters. We'll give you money, buy food for the children, but if they drop out, we stop paying. That's conditional. So which means, because we're getting cash based on them staying at school, you didn't want the kids to drop out of school, right? So which means we give you a bit of cash as long as the kids don't drop out of school. If they drop out, we stop paying you. So it works perfectly and really, really making a big difference. But the unconditional, it's self-regulated, where we give you money, but we say, you decide, even if they drop out, we may still pay you. There are no conditions attached to it. So cash transfer, it's not just about child marriage, it's becoming the biggest tool to address poverty. In most, you go to Nepal, you go to Bangladesh, you go to Laos, I've evaluated them, you go to Mozambique. So cash transfer programs are becoming like the gold in addressing social issues, child marriage, poverty, you name them. So there you are. Cash transfers is one of the examples we're using to prevent early child marriage. Then there is what we call the life skills entrepreneurial training opportunities. Because we know, even if the girl drops out of school, but you have given her an opportunity to get trained and gain some life skills, entrepreneurial skills, they're more likely to run businesses. And if they can reclaim the agency, because remember, my age is when you lose the agency, saying, if I don't get married, I can't look after myself. Who's going to look after me? You need a husband. But once you know you have the agency, you can generate your own income. You can generate your own money. I can guarantee you, you don't want to get married at early age because you know that you are going to thrive. So that's another example. Then we have what we call the voice and advocacy. In Africa, what we have been doing is creating peer groups. All the adolescents, we train them to support each other. And if one is trying to tempted to get married, they report her, which means then you can prevent early marriage by using a peer-to-peer support. So that it's working. But each one of them has a pros and cons. So these are examples. International. Female genital mutilation or female circumcision. This is a serious issue. We know almost 230 million women have been circumcised, and we know if you've been circumcised, I don't go into details because it's too graphic, but if you want to know about it, you can Google it yourself. So there are 4 types of female circumcisions, but 3 of them that are dangerous, really dangerous, but you can read about it. I don't want to go into it because I don't know how conservative people here we are, but you can read about it yourself. But what we know, if you've had the most severe type of female genital circumcision, so you have a painful sex, when you become pregnant, you get to deliver, it's difficult, and childbirth always difficult. You run a risk of running incontinence, where you can no longer hold urine. When you want to go to do, you wing on yourself. Then there's the depression, all those, they can become a burden on the person. Now, this one to address is challenging because it's culturally ingrained. This one very hard to address because when you look at in Asia, female circumcision is religiously driven. In Africa, it's culturally driven. Religion and culture go hand in hand. They're not easy to change because they will tell you I'm doing it, it's my faith. They'll tell you I'm doing it, it's my culture, right? So which means then we rely on more community awareness to change attitude. Some will change, others wouldn't change. Then most countries, like in Australia now, with passed how Australia are getting a lot of migrants from Middle East and Africa. Now, if you had your circumcision prior to migration, you came to Australia, that's fine. And you know what all the migrants were doing? Once in Australia, the kids were born in Australia, they say, okay, we'll send her on holiday. What they do it. Comes back. She was not on holiday. They use the holiday as an excuse, but they wanted her to go to get circumcised. If the parents are caught having sent a child to get circumcised back home, that's it. They will be punished by law severely. So there's a law that prohibits child girl circumcision. So in Australia, it's non-negotiable. No one is allowed to force a girl to get circumcised in anything. Even if you send her home, when she comes back, the law will catch up with you. So we have been mobilizing all the youth girls that if you know any girl they've sent home for the purpose of circumcision, you need to the law in Australia or UK even more beautiful. If you knew about the issue, you didn't report it, you're an accomplice. You get. So, like if you are a neighbor and you know the neighbor is hitting the child, you knew and you never reported it. If the government knew that you knew abuse was happening, you didn't report it, you are an accomplice. You get punished. So, which means reporting is very serious and mandatory. I remember my neighbor is from India, because India, you know, usually India, they beat their wives seriously. So, it's a cultural, but in this case, different. The wife is beating the husband, my neighbor. So it's the wife and the daughter. And he was screaming. So I had to call the police, because for me, imagine saying a professor as a neighbor, and it was a privy to abuse. So I had to call the police. The police came. What happened? No, they are beating him. I could see from my backyard, he was screaming like a baby. You can figure out. So they went there. So the wife had to be taken to the police and the daughter. And so there is a measure in place to ensure those abuses don't happen again. So I had to report it. Because why I had to report it? Because we know if you're a woman and get beaten, you report it, the police will act quickly. But a man who is beaten, there's a shame. Oh, my wife beat me. They will never report it. Because there's a shame attached to a man accepting my wife beats me. My daughter, who is an adolescent, is beating me. There's a shame, they will never report it. So for me, it was like a favor I did to that. So legislation is one way of addressing those kind of abuses. Then there's the violence against children. Physical, emotional, and sexual. If I tell you how many children subjected to physical abuse, and I know most in the low and middle income country, the best one is hitting children. Corporal punishment. Or corporal punishment is against the law. Is that against the law in Indonesia? No. You know why? Because yesterday I gave a lecture and I was talking to one of the participants, and I said, so what are you studying? I said, I'm in the last year. And I said, so in your spare time, I was interested. In your spare time, what do you do? Do you go out? Do you have friends? I said, no. If my parents caught me going out, they will handcuff me, so I can't go out. For them, it's studies. I go to school, I go home, that's it. I can't, there's no way I can afford to go to a mall and hang around with my friends. Yeah, so clearly you can see it's a still issue in Indonesia. Then, you know, when you look at how many girls are forced to have sex against their will, it's unbelievable. So we are talking about 15 million of adolescents worldwide, aged between 15 and 19, forced to have sex, even if, remember, forced to have sex, it's not like in Indonesia where I have just physical pull you. So in Australia, it's different. So even your wife, you are in bed and will say, no, I'm tired. You can't touch her. You dare, you're gone. No. You come, no, I'm tired. I'm busy tomorrow. I have to wake up early. That saying, I'm tired, just make sure you don't go further, because if you're there, you're in prison. So that I'm saying. So first, it's not just I'm pulling you physically and have sex with you. It's more when you do against the consent. So like, you know, in Australia, I don't know, because you're being Muslim, you may be on the side of conservatives, maybe it's like you don't want to. Whereas in Australia, kids, youth, they'll be having sex with each other. I have a girlfriend, but for example, you can, a boy who ever picked up a girl, they talk, the girl agree, let's go to have sex. But when they arrive there, I said, you know what? I've changed my mind. That's it. If you're there, you're in serious trouble. That coerced sex, you've been in serious trouble. So there you can see. Then you can see corporal punishment. You can see we have students experiencing bullying, teachers hitting students. You can't. For us, if a teacher, I give an example even to show you how we have zero tolerance of bullying. So recently, one of wealthy schools in Melbourne, wealth suburb. To go in that school, you have to be the smartest and rich, very expensive and very flashy. And these students in year...
Nggak bisa lagi dia. Nggak tahu lah saya tuh, pokoknya data pun sama saya.
Atau tolong di unmute, itu ada yang masuk.
And so, as the teacher finished, the teacher in secondary school, so year 10, fourth year of secondary school, as the teacher finished, as the teacher was teaching, three boys had a bet during the lecture. Who can rank all the beautiful women, all the beautiful girls in our class, and which one will be the girl to date and invite? And that they did a list, and they were caught making a list of who's most beautiful. That's no go. That's bullying. They were kicked out of school. They will never be accepted in any other school. That was the end of their education. So that's how serious. Even in ranking. So ranking girls who is the most beautiful was seen as abuse, zero tolerance. They were kicked out of school. So you can see how serious this is. So which means then to address this, it's the law. Again, after the law, it's changing the norms, making sure we educate our parents and everyone involved who can change the norms and promote safe environment, etc. Then we have protecting children from explosive weapons. You know, in Africa where we have a lot of wars, landmines are left behind, and the kids, when they be playing, they are a victim of landmines. They die, they get physical injuries. So this is a serious issue with very long-term psychological scarring. So we need to ensure this doesn't happen. The way we are doing it is making sure there is demanding programs, there is medical rehabilitation, there is psychological support. So these are the things that are happening internationally. Then we have children being forced in the army, and most of the time they're forced in the army not to become soldiers, but to become sex workers for soldiers, to become spy for soldiers, to become cooks, because soldiers on the battlefield, they need to recruit those children to be able to fulfill all other duties. But that's against the law. You can't, it's forcing children and subject them to trauma. So this then had laws, like some countries now have passed laws that if you have forced child into army and you can be identified, you will be punished by the law. But in most low and middle income countries, it's still happening despite the law because of corruption. So no one can be punished because of a corruption. That's a serious issue. But the biggest issue of this one, the biggest part is when kids go to join, forced to join the army, once to come back in their community becomes difficult because they are dehumanized. If you're a girl, you are a sex worker for the soldiers. You are dating. They can't accept you back in the community. There's no way they're going to welcome in the community because you are sex worker, you are servicing army. Or if you're a boy, you are nobody anymore. So the reintegration of the children, it's a big exercise, education, acceptance. So to say, look, they went in the army against their will. If they had the choice, they couldn't have gone there. So reintegration in the community becomes an issue. And sometimes while they're there, family died. They don't know that their family died. So family tracing to know where the child is from, which family they belong to, extended family, all those are very important exercise when addressing this as a child protection issue. And the biggest of all now in Africa, I don't know in Indonesia, birth registration. And I'm one of them. I never had a birth registration. So I was one of the victims of poor system. Like, I don't know, I've never had a birth registration. Which means for me, the only way I could have recognized my birth is through baptism. Because when you get baptized, but But most countries, unless you have a birth registration, you don't have identity. You can't bring a baptism card in Australia and say, hey, we need, so which means for children without a birth registration, because no one can know your age. You are easily recruited as a sex worker because you don't know your age. You are easily exploited. So birth registration is a very human rights issue for children. So now the only way to do this is to make birth registration mandatory. Like in Australia, if you give birth, you are given 30 days to register the child. 30 days. If you don't register the child, you will face the law. So which means then, as soon as you get out of the hospital, you have to fill in the forms, pay the fees, make sure you get your birth certificate. In Indonesia, is that compulsory? Compulsory. So you can see it's a human rights issue. And so where we don't have a proper birth registration, even today in Congo, still an issue. There is no systematic birth registration, which means then most organizations such as UNICEF will go to identify who the child, try to figure out when they were born, and they give them a birth certificate. Because we know without a birth certificate, you have lost all your identity. There's no way anyone will be able to identify you. Then we have a justice where kids can commit petty crimes. Kids can be forced to commit petty crimes, by adults or family members, etc. But then, in most low and middle income countries, the court is for everyone. Whereas in Australia, you have a court for children. If you're a child, you can't go to the court of adults. You have to go through the court of children. Now, here the issue is to have people who have the skills to be able to investigate children. Because investigating children, it requires special skills. So that's why we have people studying degree, children investigative studies. Those are people who have very good jobs because their job is, if there is a crime committed by the child, they are trained, have appropriate skills to investigate what happened and make sure the child can be well represented. Because otherwise the child will be blamed by everyone. When they have been forced. So that's a serious issue. But also in countries like Australia, and Indonesia, what we do is rather than trialing a child through the judicial system, we discharge them so that they can be managed through community managed systems to give a child a sense. Otherwise, through courts, they get traumatized. They get psychologically traumatized, and it's not good for the child. So those are the kind of stuff we're doing. So in Australia then, so this is a global perspective. In Australia now, we have, I don't know about Indonesia, but in Australia, we have a national child protection framework. It's very clear. And that child protection framework, it really addresses all aspects of child protection, from justice, from child abuse, from you name it. But the strength of this, and that was so happy because I was consulted, was they realized that most instruments in developed nations are coming from an individualistic perspective. And those from collectivism struggle. They will still commit crime because they don't understand the value of individualism. So that's why this framework is recognizing people from disadvantaged background, such as migrant, Aboriginal Strait Islanders, with disability, etc. Those who are more likely to be lost in a. So you can see in Australia, for example, now, 1 in 32 children, right, have been in contact with the child protection system. That's serious, and 6-7 of those are repeat contacts, repeat clients. So in other words, what does it tell you? Those who have been in contact with the child protection system are more likely to repeat, to be part of it. So it becomes like a jail. It becomes like a sentence. Once you are in contact with it, you are more likely to be a repeat client, which is not good. So we need to find a way of breaking that cycle. And you can see now, when it comes to children investigative, around 775 children were children subject to notification. So the government being notified of the child being abused. Then they send proper investigators who specializes in investigating children issues. You can see almost less than half of those were investigated because the other one were seen as a notification not worth investigating. And only then half of that, less than half, were substantiated. And the main reasons of substantiation were emotional abuse, neglect, physical, and sexual. That's really, you can see, it's a serious issue as far as child well-being is concerned. Now, those who have come into the child protection system are 10 times likely to have children who also come into contact with the health system. That becomes an intergenerational issue. And four times more likely to be on on income support. Of course, even though Australian generous to help those children, of course, we want them to live a normal life rather than being on a government-supported income. Because once you're on a government-supported income, you are more likely to stay in a system rather than being self-sufficient. So which means our own intervention to ensure to make you self-reliant, to help you reclaim your agency. But unfortunately, once you come from a generation of people who have been in contact with, so you are more likely to follow suit. So that's the issue. Now, how is it working for migrants? So, Australia, who knows about the collectivism, individualism continuum? Do you know? Have you heard about the collectivism, individualism continuum? Who can tell me the score for Indonesia, if you are aware of it? So I think, I don't know the figure. So Indonesia will be less than 50. So meaning they are collectivist. So they will be around the 40. Whereas Australia will be around 89, meaning very individualistic. Okay? Now, all the laws I'm telling you now, they are individualistic. Now, the way they can work in collectivism, it becomes difficult. Why? So, what does individualism promote? Human rights. My child, it's my right. No one can touch me. Right? What do they? I'm independent. Dad, you can't talk to me like that. If you talk, you open your mouth again, you know what will happen. Right? I need success. You know, it's about me succeeding and claiming my, it's about, if an individualism, if they commit they commit something unwanted, it's about feeling the guilt. Oh, I should never do that. You are guilty. Now, when you go to collectivism, interdependence. There's no way I can shame my family. I need to respect my family. My family comes first. It's no longer you, it's your family. So everything you do to protect the image of the family. Individualism, I say, it's about me. Who cares about the family? It's me. You, collectivism. Now, the child can say, Dad, you can't talk to me. Can you go to your dad and say, Daddy, collectivism is a hierarchy, respect for elders, respect for parents, respect for, So there's a hierarchy of respect, a hierarchy of communication. Now you tell a child, I'm independent, you can't talk to me. If you're a migrant then, where a child, you can't talk to your parents, they start talking to you like that, what will happen? How dare you? Abuse. Which means the culture intervenes and forces you to commit a crime without knowing. Or what if the other one? There is a, let's say, for example, education. In collectivism, son, you have to do medicine. You have to do law, medicine, or engineering, non-negotiable, right? In an individual, Dad, I'll study what saves me. I'm not studying for you. I study what will make me happy. But in collectivism, they want to be involved in telling you what to study. And if you don't do that, you disappoint them. Everyone's saying, oh, wow. We wanted our daughter to be a doctor. Look what she's done. Shaming.
Prof. Andre, do you mind if 7 minutes more?
Okay.
Okay.
When I asked her, she told me I had how many minutes? I can't remember. So I will skip so many slides to make you, thank you for reminding me. So anyway, that's the collectivism versus individualism. And you can see this is another slide showing you how things are done. So individualism, the legal framework, legislative framework dictates. In collectivism, it's about transmission from family to family. The education is you learn from your mother, from your grandmother. In individualism, the law that dictates how things should be done. So that's a challenge now if you're a migrant. Now, when I did my study among Middle Eastern and African migrants in Australia, because they were really coming into contact with the system, it was a big issue and a burden. So you can see, because they were disciplining hitting children. You can't hit a child in Australia. They were, Australia give them rights. Then, you know, kids start rebelling themselves. How dare you, parents? I go to school. My kids, everyone brings pocket money. You don't give me pocket money. So imagine a child come to collectivism. Dad, I need pocket money. How dare you? Go to school and keep quiet. And when they go to school, the teacher see everyone buying something and say, why? Oh, my dad didn't give me. And when I ask for pocket money, he yelled at me. They report child protection. You're in serious trouble. So?
Nggak ada linknya, nggak ada link, belum. Nanti kalau ada kirim, ya.
The importance of keeping cultural identity that the parents. Yeah. And parents want kids to maintain cultural identity. Oh, you need to keep your traditional language. Kids are saying, why should I speak a traditional language? I'm in Australia. Everyone speaks English. I don't want to keep traditional language. I want to learn English. You don't want to learn to keep the traditional language? Punishment. You punish, you're having trouble with the law. So that's a serious issue. Then, parents asking for obedience. You have to, and kids are saying, obedience for what? So you know, one of the biggest things in Australia is if you are 14, 15, you are 14, 15, one of the biggest issues we like is allowing children to go to have a sleepover. So sleeping over is something we grow up with. Kids want to go sleep over to their peers. Girl to girl, you are my friend. Why don't you sleep over? Next time sleep over. And these parents say, no way you are going to sleep over. You go sleep over, I'll come there with you. Then the kids feel embarrassed. How dare you? You know, so the obedience, the expectation, the gender-specific hierarchies becomes an issue. That is really putting them in tears. Then you have, when a kid refuses now, parental demands to comply with tradition, what are parents doing? Controlling children. Who is your friend? Where's your mobile phone? What are you doing? Who is your friend? So you're going to school. When are you arriving school? You need to be home by X time. So you are under constant control. All your movements are under control. But that, then if the child report that, that is containment. Then you've been said the child will be taken away. But it's happening, and that's why the law is punishing parents very seriously, where there's no way out. And I've been a big advocate where now the government has accepted my findings that, Andre, you are right. We need to figure out how to accept how culture is influencing this behavior. Now they are recruiting what we call bicultural child protection workers. So now in Australia, everywhere, we have what we call bicultural child protection workers to ensure they understand how culture is intersecting with child protection to protect parents too. Otherwise, the parents are lost. They are really lost in translation. Then we have another thing that's happening, that's a big issue, is the changing gender role. Because the father is usually the disciplinarian and the mother is the nurturer in collectivism. Once you come to Australia, the mother can work, can have a bank account, she can, now she has an agency. Now she started asking the father to start cooking. You ask a father, start cooking in a family? The woman say, I'm working. So you are staying home, you cook, you take kids to school, you do the washing, but you know, an African man doing the duty, it's a problem. So it's creating a conflict. And once the father and the mother start fighting, it affects the children, which lead to child neglect. Then child protection comes in. Then there is what we call the acculturative stress, where children back home, they are not used to homework, because when you go to school, parents know that when at school, you are responsible of a teacher. Whereas in Australia, no. Children going to school, you are still part of the school. If there's a problem at school, it's not the teacher. You parents have to be involved. Whereas most African, Middle Eastern, once you go to school, you have a responsibility to the teacher. Whereas Australian system is, no, you go to school, You have to be involved. So which means when a child comes with homework, you need to help them with homework. And the parents say, we can't, we don't know how to do it. And if you can't help with homework, then the children think, I'm going to my peers who know how to help me, so we can do homework together. Then, no, you can't. I can't allow you to go out. And that creates a lot of serious clash between parents and children. And I already spoken about parents forcing children to study for them rather than allowing children to study for themselves. And one example is a lot of migrants now who are finishing law degree or medical degree. After they finish, Dad, I've given you the law degree you wanted me to do, but my dream is always to be a chef. So most of the chefs you see celebrity in Australia, they are medical doctors, they are lawyers, but they studied only for their parents. But their dream was just to become a chef. Yeah. So you can see that trend happening. So most Chinese, Chinese want their kids doctors, engineer, lawyer. They study and say, okay, Dad, I finished, here is your degree. I'm going to do what I always wanted to do. So that's becoming a serious issue. So in summary, I almost finishing my presentation. Summary is when there is an intergenerational conflict, a conflict between parents and children, there is what we call a breakdown in communication. And when there's a breakdown in communication, it means children and parents can't communicate. What will happen? Children no longer want to see parents eye to eye. They start skipping meals, leaving home early to go to school before the parents wake up. That's an issue in itself. They will be after school, they go direct in their room, self-imposed. They will never see eye to eye. So parents will never know even where the children are anymore because children no longer want to interact. They're saying, you parents, we have nothing in common. We are Australian. Yes, we are Syrian, we are Africans, but we're born here. We say ourselves, you guys, dad and mom, we're still behind. We don't want to interact. So separation completely, where parents leave the children in the house, but they don't talk to each other. That's really bad. And which leading to eating disorders. It's becoming an issue because you no longer sit on the same dinner to eat dinner with them. You end up just snacking and watching TV. What happens? You are not get the proper meals, and it's becoming an issue. So I was asked by the government funding me, Andre, can you help us come up with a program that is culturally appropriate, that can help us address this issue? I developed the most comprehensive program that involved 8 sessions, from child development, parent-child bonding, and banking, housing, literacy, etc. So this is, I don't go into it because we don't have time. You can read this intervention in your spare time. But this intervention covered all aspects of parenting, whether it's child-parent relations, whether it's money, because, for example, one of the biggest issues, so when you're in Australia, and most migrants wouldn't have enough salary. So kids get what to call payment, so money. So get money per child, right? Technically, that's money for the child, but parents will. Then the child is saying, but it's my money. No, as long as you live in my house, it's my money. And so when the kids rebel themselves, conflict. So this intervention was also to tell parents, yes, they may be migrants, they live in Australia, they have an agency. Even though you don't give them money directly, you need to put the money in an account, give them access so that they can have quite a few money. When they go out with friends, they can buy a drink. Do you imagine to go with your friends out, you go out with your friends, everyone buying a drink and you are always piggybacking, everyone buying for you, you can't replicate? That's very shameful. So this intervention is comprehensive. As you can see, the impact. So it impacted every aspect that is being dominating parents and the government, except one thing. Parents are not prepared to give children power to accept that children can be independent in the house. So we say, okay, we will accept expectations, we will show empathy, we will reduce punishment, we will allow role reversal, but we allow child to have the power, decision making in the house. That's not good. That's the only dimension that will protect. So, thank you. I'm so happy to run through the time, but you're welcome to read the presentation.
Thank you. Please give a praise. Okay, it's very interesting to discuss about. Yes, is it similarly that your program cash transfer with in Indonesia? called school cost, biaya operasional, school operation costs. Is it similar? Your program cash transfer?
So, because for us, school is paid by the government.
Yes, paid to government. It is also will be influence for the tuitions of the schools.
Yeah, so the tuition was paid usually by the government. So for us,
That's right.
all my PhD, I never paid a cent. All my doctorate, I never paid it.
But this is not a correlation with the about their attitude and also about their diligence of how to go to school.
No, the issue more is the interaction between parents and school.
Oh, yes.
So, for example, in Australia, it's expected that the child will take lunch at school, but they pocket money.
Yeah.
If they need to buy something like the kiosk.
Uh,
Whereas the mother, they say, no, if I give money to my child, they may end up buying drugs. No, no,
oh, yes.
and they're saying, no, everyone is buying something from the kiosk. I need pocket money, and I get my money from the government. It's even my money I'm asking. So if the parents don't give money, and the other thing, as I said earlier, is even though school may be free, when kids go to school, school expects parents to be involved. Which means that if the parents are not involved helping kids with homework, and the kids go, oh, my parents don't care about my homework,
I see.
problem.
Okay. Is this
But this program can be transferred everywhere. It's now being replicated in Canada.
Oh,
I'm sure if Dr. Evans can try it in Indonesia and evaluate it. And I think it will be fantastic, especially among domestic workers. Well, why not the Indonesian and domestic workers or other migrants to see whether it will perform differently between Indonesian born and migrant supporters.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Andre. I will postpone about the Q&A for your session because we must directly to the session of Mr. Eva presentation. We will continue to the last presentation from Dr. by Eva first. Yeah. After that, we can combine all of the questions. All the participation in this room, also in this online Zoom, you can write your question in the chat, and also you can raise your hand when we have the time of Q&A session after the Mrs. Eva presentations. Okay, Miss Eva, Dr. Eva, I will introduce the TV of Miss Eva. Maybe I already read about Miss Eva, not all of this thing I want to. Okay, and this now work experience as associate professor at Department of Family and Consumer Science, IPB University, and now also as a secretary of Department of Family and Consumer Science, IPB University, and also as a consultant of Deputy of Child Right Protection and Information.
Nah, makanya kalau misalnya
I think it's time to you to make a presentation. Time is yours.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you, Pak Johan, for the introduction. So good afternoon, everybody. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
So I hope everyone is not tired yet because of the two wonderful presentation earlier. So from from the happiness, enjoyment, achievement, hobby presented by Dr. Jana Kochi, and then we move to Professor Andre talking about child protection in Australia. So now I think as a compliment, I think it's I mean I'm just like completed this session by presenting child well-being and child protection in Indonesia. So I know most of you are Indonesians, but I think it's good for me to share with you about the data that I have here about the child well-being and child protection. All right, so I'm not going through this definition because I think Professor Andre has explained this very clearly about child well-being, child protection. Um, and I'm just going to emphasize that child well-being is the matter of, it's not only about the dimension of physical, but it's also about the emotional and social. And I really enjoy what Andre presented about Australian situation. So now it's time for me just to present about what happened in Indonesia. I don't mean to compare Indonesia and Australia or maybe with Republic of Czechia, but here I'm just going to show everyone about the situation in Indonesia and what government has done so far and what the homework. What should we do next? So I should start with this beautiful map. So I think everyone already familiar with this. So this is Indonesia. Andre, in case you don't know about the Indonesia map, so this is Indonesia.
But still
Right.
34
Huh?
province.
Oh,
Now
still-
it's 38.
Oh yeah, sorry. So I should update this with the newest new version. Yeah, right. So if we listen, if we remember what Jana explained, Dr. Jana explained, and what Professor Andre has explained, it's quite different with Indonesian situation. So here, because Indonesia is still remain as a developing country, so here our children is still staying with the poverty and also still focusing on access, like difficulty accessing to healthcare, education, and also appropriate parenting. And also another problem here about the inequality where children in urban area have advanced more than those in rural areas because as we know, everyone know that Indonesia has quite gap between rural and also urban area. So that's another problem here in Indonesia. Right, but I think this is our strength here because Indonesia has a lot of children. So can be strength, but can be also our weaknesses, right? Because here I just want to show everyone how Indonesian children are now, the position now. We have approximately 79 million children population in Indonesia. It's about like almost 30% of the total population in Indonesia, and Indonesia has approximately 276 million people. And when we see Indonesia, Indonesia is the fourth largest populated country in the world. So does the child population. So our child population here is also the world's fourth largest child population in the world. And we can see here that the majority of children live in West Java, where we live now. I mean in Bogor. Sorry for other participants who don't live in West Java. So, and then followed by East Java and also Central Java. Right. So now we move on to, right, this is what I need to emphasize. I just realized from the International Survey of Children's Subjective Well-being, conducted by Center for Resilience and Socio-Emotional Health, University of Malta, by Risk et al. 2020. So they tried to measure or evaluate children's world's subjective well-being, and it's found that Indonesia children, so our children position is around like 15 most what's that, the bottom line, I mean like the worst the worst well-being situation for our children. So we can see here, so the N is quite large, around 22,000 children in Indonesia have been surveyed by this research center. And for 8 years children, they said they have subjective well-being just 6.6%, and that's the worst case in the world. And compared to children in 10 years, it's still in the bottom line. So 10 rank, bottom rank for Indonesia, and also for 12 years old. So I think that's alarming for our society. So what happened with our kids? Because they don't feel happy, they don't feel probably they don't really feel secure, and they don't really enjoy for living in Indonesia. And according to UNICEF 2018, our kids, why our kids' child well-being is still low? Because UNICEF tried to unravel what happened with our children. In 2018, UNICEF found that the majority problem is around these 6 factors. So about the sanitation, about the health, about the nutrition, education, protection, and even shelter. So means that only 20% our children have shelter. So it's quite sad for me to see this. And apart from that data, our government, through Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, they try to capture about the child well-being and child protection profile in Indonesia through the index. So they have the child protection index. So Professor Andre has mentioned about the convention on the rights of child. So our government has this profile according to that convention. So they try to capture based on this child protection index. So child protection index is developed, involving these 2 index. So index of fulfillment of children's right and spatial child protection index. Even though the data is quite good here, higher than 50, but in comparison with the target, it's still under the target by the Indonesian government. Yeah. And I just want to share to everyone what cluster forming the child protection index in Indonesia. So from here, we can see what situation among our children. So the index, the child protection index, is formed by 5 clusters, everyone. So the first cluster is civil right and freedom. The second cluster, the cluster family environment and alternative parenting. The third one, cluster basic health and well-being. The fourth one, cluster education on the use of free time and cultural activities. And the fifth cluster is about social protection. So now I'm going to show everyone about the indicators for each clusters. So we can try to know, or we can try to compare a bit with the Australian situation here. So the first cluster. The cluster 1 is about achievement on the fulfill of civil rights and children's freedom. As Professor Andre mentioned, that the birth certificate is a compulsory for every child. So does in Indonesia. So we have that indicator as one of our child protection effort. So to provide the ownership of birth certificate. And this is a good news that in 2022, about 90.41% our children have that birth certificate. Even though we don't have the requirement as Australia has the maximum 30 days after the birth, the parents has to register their baby to have the birth certificate, but we have the age range to apply the birth certificate until 17 years. So yeah, so the reason why the government needs to have this ownership of this birth certificate, because this is the what's that? The basic need, right? For our child, and without this birth certificate, our children cannot go to school, cannot access the supports from the government, etc. And then the second one, after birth certificate, the one that and one factor that we need to highlight here, the indicators, is about children who visited the library. And unfortunately, in 2022, it's still very, very small number. It's only 11.29% children visited the library. That means our children don't really have what's that, hobby to read. Yeah, I mean, reading is not something enjoyable for our kids. I don't know in Australia. I think in Australia, since the beginning, the school like provides reading things, right? But in Indonesia, it's very, very low, the percentage. And this and another one that I need to highlight, the percentage of children who participate in organizational activities other than at work or school. It's still 4.21%. So means that our kids, they're not really interested to participate in organizational activities. They like only work. No, they on like homeschool without any other experiences. Yeah. In fact, experience in organizational activities are very important to develop soft skill for our kids. All right. So now, what about the? I think one factor also that needs to underline here about the percentage of children who use cell phones and the owning. So the data indicate that the use of cell phones, can we see here, even though it's declining, but it's still more than 80%, our kids use mobile phone. And about more than 50%, they own the cell phone. What about the internet? So internet is one of the indicator for our kids' freedom. Yeah, and data indicated that more than 70% our kids have access to the internet. It's a good thing. But the bad thing, or something that we need to be aware here, the majority of our kids access the internet for what? For fun, not for learning. Yeah, not for something new, or not for something that can increase their knowledge, just for fun, like games, yeah, and social media, yeah, TikTok, etc. So now we move on to what the government policy actually, what the government has done in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, in terms of accelerating ownership of birth certificate, Indonesia has done very good job. They try to make everyone, make every child in this country has birth certificate, or even according to Ministry of Home Affairs, the staff goes to the village to register the kid who don't have the birth certificate. And internet access. The problem here, it's not about the access to the internet, but about what our kids access So what kind of content they do access. So MOEC, Ministry of Education and Culture, try to incorporate cooperation with Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection. They try very hard to provide media for children, right? To something good to access. They try to provide contents for the kids that is appropriate for them to access. So this one, I think I just want to alarm everyone here to be really, really aware that it's not about the access of internet, but it's about what content that our kids access. Because if our kid excessive or too much access to the internet, it can be addiction or even cyberbullying or even health problem and other internet dangers. Right. So now we move on to next. Okay. Okay. So now, this one is an example. I just want to share everyone. This is the best practice that probably beneficial for everyone here. There is a parenting village in South Kalimantan. Does anyone from Kalimantan? So this one in this Tanah Laut village, they have like social law, we can say that, like no phone and TV at 6 to 9 p.m. At 6 to 9 p.m. It's the time is only for family time, playing and learning each other, greeting and smiling to each other, but no phone or TV. So this village is trying to get parents to involve in daily parenting in order to avoid what Professor Andre explained earlier, that even though they live together, we're parents and kids, but they don't talk each other. So now we have to evaluate ourselves. Does it happen to us or no? Or should we have that soft law in our home or no? Okay, right. So now move on to cluster 2. Cluster 2 is about family environment and alternative care. So the indicator is about child marriage. As Professor Andre mentioned, child marriage is a big problem in everywhere, including in Indonesia. So the data we can see here, even though it's declining per year, but if we calculate, so I just try to calculate 8.06 times 79 million. So means that there are still 6.4 million children under 18 or before 18, they get married. So here in Indonesia, by law, it's illegal, right? But by law, so means that we have the law to protect the child marriage. But we still have opportunity to have child marriage. By what? By having dispensation. Dispensation, is that? Indonesia dispensasi. So by that dispensation, through the religious court, if the case is acceptable, so the kids still, yeah, they still can be married. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a soft law or a hard law, but it's not as strong as in Australia. We can see our law is quite what's that? Negotiable. Right. And then something else here, the percentage of children who don't live with both parents is still 3.6%. So means that there are 2.8 million children under 17 years old. They don't live with both parents. Then the question, who do they live with? Yeah, and I think it's related to the migrant workers or something like that. So the study that Professor Andre explained is quite relevant with this. And about the violence is still a big issue in Indonesia. We can see here trend violence is increasing per year. Yeah. This is the data from Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection in Indonesia. So in 2022, there are 16,000 violence towards the children, and surprisingly, the majority of the violence cases happen or conducted by friends or friends lover, toxic relationship. Yeah, something like that. And the second largest, the perpetrators is parents, their parents. So I think I can guess it's from coercive parenting and like disciplinary that related to our culture still happen in Indonesia. Next, about the school enrollment rates, we can see here the school rates for the primary or elementary school, the rate is quite high, almost 100%. But the higher level of school, the lower school enrollment rates. So what happened with us? I don't know. Maybe because a majority of our kids like to work rather than what's that? Rather than school, huh? Why it's suddenly gone? The government policy as an
Do you mind if 7 minutes?
okay, sure, okay, I go. Okay, I rush it for this one, and then for the in order to increase the school enrollment rate, government through Ministry of Education and Culture try to provide a good or safe environment by zero tolerance to bullying cases, even though it's in house, school, and environment. And also to minimize the violence rate towards the children, the government tried to have child abuse assistance or hotline, but it's not as effective in Australia. I know that, right? In Australia, whenever we call the hotline, it's right away. The police came. Yeah, but at least we have. Yeah, at least we have, and the government try to provide it. Yeah. Right. And then the cluster 3 about the achievement of national basic health and welfare. This is the long problem about the stunting children. I don't know, in Australia there is no stunted toddler, right? No. Less than 1%. In Right. In Indonesia, the percentage, the rate is still upper than 20%, more than 20%. So about 21%. So I think it's a very long problem. And also the sad thing here about the sanitation is still 80% rather than 100%. And also the smoking, teenager who smoke. It's still quite problematic here in Indonesia. The government tried to fulfill children's right in basic health and national welfare by having the policy, the programs. And for the stunting program, Indonesia has multi-sector collaboration between ministries, and it's coordinated by Coordinating Ministry for Human Development and Cultural Affairs, even though the majority responsibility goes to Ministry of Health. Right. And then we have program as well to minimize number of children who smoke by having the law. We have the law, no smoking zones, and we have the penalty, but still the penalty is not there. So still smoking area. It's only about the what's that? The sign, only the sign, but no one cares. Right. And then the vaccination, the government tried to vaccinate all of the children, but even though it's quite difficult, but the government tried to vaccinate the children, and they goes to village. The cluster 4 about the education. I'm just going to rush here. So the children, the percentage of children who are not at school still high, and also for the performing is still low. And this one, the participation rates for children who join or participate in early childhood education care is still low. In fact, everyone knows that early childhood education is the golden education because the age is the golden age. And because of many factors, but Indonesia tried to solve the problem by having this program, One Village, One Early Childhood Center. Yeah, jadi based on the dana desa, what's that? A village funding. So they tried to provide at least one early childhood center in one village. And the last one, cluster 5, achievement of the special protection. When Professor Andre explained about the violence here, we have still quite quite big the number for the what's that the violence, also the poverty, and also what's that children who work. That's true. In Indonesia, there is no we have like minimum age for working for the children, but the problem is there is no what's that the regulation, the very strong regulation that's saying this age is the minimum age for working, even though what's that even 7 years or even 5 years, the kids in Indonesia, if the family is poor, they send the kids to the street to beg as family income. So I think that's one of the problem for child exploitation in Indonesia. So the government has this program like for family hope program, and then non-cash food assistance program, child social welfare program to support Indonesian children. Yeah, and this one, the level of satisfaction for children, and most of our children saying they don't feel really satisfied to where they live now, unfortunately. So as a conclusion here, Indonesia and its policymaker have still have big commitment to provide child well-being for Indonesia and child protection, right? Or even Indonesia government try to concrete their action to national, provincial, and local levels to achieve the agenda 2030 sustainable development agenda, or even president has also placed priority on eliminating stunting, protecting women, children, or other vulnerable groups from violence. However, our government focus on well-being, particularly in emotional and social dimension yet, because probably in physical dimension it's not finished yet. So that's why there is and also there is no structured program to evaluate and initiate the child's well-being in Indonesia. There is mental health program initiated by Ministry of Education and Culture, but I think it's not massive yet. So I think as a closing statement, I want to read this quotation from John F. Kennedy. So John F. Kennedy said, "Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future." So I think it's our responsibility to provide child well-being and child protection wherever they are. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much, everyone who's still safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eva, Julina Eva. Very marvelous and magnificent presentation, and very attractive and very interesting your topics about the special case of child being and child protection in Indonesia. And now I will open the session of Q&A. Hopefully we'll get the question from this room. Who want to ask? Okay. times. The mic for, and please introduce your name and where do you come from?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, Mr. Andre, Dr. Eva, and all participants. Thank you for the opportunity. This second time I see you, Prof. Andre. Yes, because I learned something in Zoom meeting with you. Yes. Finally meet and greet with Miss Prof. Andre. Okay. Yes. Yes. My name is Nurjana Purnama and Nurjana Purnama. Student master of Family Studies and Child Development from IPB. And my question is regarding children's birth certificates. Children born in a legal marriage and on intact family will definitely have a birth certificate. But children born as a result of rape victim may not have a birth certificate, whereas a birth certificate is necessary and very important for their life, for school, and to work later. And how do you think about government should deal with this? And remembering that every child has and the opportunity to learn. And Indonesia, as Miss Eva said, birth certificate as a condition for education. Yes, thank you. Wilujeng Sonten. Yes, in Sunda, Indonesia, Wilujeng Sonten.
Something.
Good evening. Yeah, thank you. Sonten teh? Yes. Yes, betul. Good afternoon. Sorry, Mister. Yeah, Wilujeng Sonten. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, birth certificate has nothing to do with whether you're married, you're not married, or whether you've been raped. Birth certificate is mother giving birth. So, even if you're a product of rape, the choice is for you to give the name of a child, your family name. That's it. So in Australia, that's it. So if you're raped, you give birth, you don't have a father, they choose for you to decide whether the child is going to follow your family line to get a birth certificate. So the birth certificate is not linked to whether you're married, whether you know the father of a child, whether you're raped. It's just you gave birth on this date, the name of the child is. Now your responsibility is to choose the name. Do you want the child to follow your family name? You want to change the name of a child. That's the issue. But the child still is linked to you as the mother, is linked to you to the date he was born, is linked to you to which state they were born in, links to you to which hospital they were born at, links to you to, so that they can have access to everything. So whether it's rape, whether it's illegal, whether it's single mother, the birth certificate needs to be there, and it's linked to you as a mother who gave birth. But the issue is more whether you are comfortable them, if they're a child of rape, to inherit your family name, or whether you want to change the name completely so that they have a new identity. But they still link to you as a mother. Does it make sense? Yeah. So it's whether you're raped or not, the child has the right to the birth certificate. The choice is more which lineage in terms of name do you give them a right to. Now, even if you change the family name, they're still linked to you as a mother. We'll say child X born to mother X at this hospital, this district, this country. Full stop. Even if you change the name, but you are the mother, you become the reference for the child identity. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I don't know how it's done in Indonesia, but child born from rape.
Yeah.
How do you get them certificate?
Oh, okay. Okay. So I think here in Indonesia, because the Ministry of home affair. They try to provide birth certificate to every child in Indonesia. So a child from the product of the rape, yeah, illegal birth, still provided by the birth certificate at the moment. Yeah. But in the certificate, there is no father's name. Yeah. Yeah. So in order to provide the education services or fund support from the government, otherwise there will be what's that? There will be unsupported of for the whole of their lives if the government won't do that. Yeah.
No, for us, if you don't release them, get punished.
Oh, are you satisfied with the answer? Okay. Thank you, Bu Nurjana. I will want to see the answering from the Zoom online. Any participant raise the hand? Okay. But I want to appoint to Mr. Gregorio Subanti. Have you any questions? How? Mr. Gregorio Subanti, you want to ask? Okay. I have a question from the chat. Yeah, this is question to Ms. Eva. Yeah, in recent time there is from Nurfianto, also from Nurfianto, the previous from Dr. Jana. Yeah, in recent time there has been, I think you can be, you can answer. Okay, Mr. Nurfianto in Zoom online, are you still join with us? Yeah, you asked about the recent time there has been a lot of violence, remarriage and rape of children and young people in educational institution, both central government educational institution, university, in elementary and high school and Islamic boarding school. What's your response and solution can be implemented, especially support for regulation and policy? Okay.
Thank you, Pak Nurfianto, Giar Pangidung, for your very wonderful question. I think it's homework for everyone, yeah, to solve the problem. So, as I read this, and I just have approximately 4 answers, like 4 points to answer your questions. The first one, I think, what's that? My response, of course, this is something very serious that everyone needs to pay attention. So probably if we can have the situation like in Australia where there is a violence, then everyone around the society can report to the police, and the police very very responsive, and then go to the place and then solve the problem. It will be a very ideal situation. But the situation here, we live in Indonesia. So what can I do here, just as academics? Of course, conducting research, evaluation, try to develop a program, probably program about the structure program, about how what's the best strategy to minimize the violence within the schools, universities, and also the Islamic boarding schools. And then the second one, try to make a socialization to make the society be aware about how important for us to pay attention for the violence. So not everyone feel like skeptics, doesn't want to care about the society. So I think with the society power, the violence can be decreased. And the third one, of course, we need advocacy to the government to make the regulation, to implement the regulation. Although it's not easy, I know, But the government has the opportunity for us, our academicians, researchers, they have pentahelix framework where our as academic we can participate in the developing the public policies, etc., and we can participate in that. So wherever government, even though it's central or the local one, I think it's matter. And the fourth one, of course, the collaboration. We can have the collaboration work, collaborative work here, to keep going with our evaluation and to propose our program, or probably we can propose our strategy to the government so they can be advocate, what's that, advocation I don't know, it's, yeah, something like that. So so we hope that answer your questions. We try our best.
Thank you, Dr. Eva. I think Mr. Nurfianto have heard you and also satisfied about your answering and about your solution about these problems. And I also will give a chance in this room who want to give question. Okay, anyone?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Eva. Seem like, yes, I'm like our lecturer. I would like to ask to Mr. Renzaho. Mr. Pardon? Yes. Because I'm following your what is it, your journal, as you said about their case. Yes. Podcast. Okay. Uh, like to ask about the regulation in Australia, as you presented to us, is there applied to citizen only or for all of the people who live in there as an immigrant, like that? And then, in your opinion, uh, is it possible to our country, Indonesia, to adopt the regulation as Australia do? Because I'm so sorry to say, but unfortunately, our people, most of our people are ignorant about children well-being, about what is it, bullying, and so on. That's it. Thank you.
I will answer the second question first. So is it possible for Indonesia to adopt the Australian approach? Yes, of course. But any adoption need to be contextualized. So in other words, you need to take and contextualize it within the Indonesian context, for example. You need to ensure that the adoption doesn't create religious tension, for example. You need to ensure that the adoption doesn't infringe or create more cultural tensions. But it doesn't necessarily mean you can't adopt it. You can adopt it, but you need to contextualize it, and that may require a lot of consultations with imam, muftis, with communities to ensure that you take the elements, implement them within the Indonesian context. Because it's not easy, but it can be done easily without problem, but it requires a lot of work, adoption, customizing. So the word actually is customizing and tailoring to the Indonesian context. It's possible. So for example, our system is copying or similar to Canada, but Canada will have a small variation for their context. Oh, our Canadian, Australian is better. USA is different animal altogether, but they still have their own within the USA context. You go to UK, so you can see if you take USA, Canada, Australia, Norway, UK, Sweden, you do the analysis, you see there are common thread, but with small variations that can be explained by the context. For example, what is the variation? I'll give an example why USA will never copy exactly the Australian model. USA doesn't have a social security. You don't work, you're poor. You die with poverty. Australia will never let Australia die with poverty. Means there is social security. You get paid. So USA doesn't have social security, which means we need to adopt it in a way that we don't pay social security. How do we make it work for us? Does it make sense? So that's where the differentiation is. So Indonesia could be the same, where they adopt it now, given that you are a huge population, the government will need to do costing, for example. If you need to do a social security, how does it work? How much is it to go to cost? Will you get the money and sustain it? And if you don't pay social security, what could work for us as Indonesian? So it can work, you need tailoring and customization. Now, in terms of birth certificate, this is how it works in Australia, but you touch a very sensitive political issue. So if you come to Australia, you are a couple, or you are a woman, even if a couple is single, you are not pregnant, but you become pregnant there, you deliver there, technically the child has the right to Australian citizen, but you don't. Just because they give a child doesn't give you citizen. The child can claim citizen because you're born in Australia, but you are not, unless you're a citizen. But then the question is, the Australian may argue to separate a child from the mother because a citizen becomes an issue, which means they are contributing to child protection issue. How do you tell a mother, go back, the child was born here, he was Australian? It's not to look after them. So if you are not there, the child end up in out of home care. So which means then, chances are they'll kick you out of the child. When the child is growing up and can advocate, I was born in Australia, I'm an Australian. That's where it becomes too complicated. So technically, conceived born in Australia gives you an Australian citizen, but whether how it's operationalized, at what age, that's another issue altogether. That becomes too political now. For example, those who were in detention center, Australian who came to Australia legally, they put them in detention center. Those kids born in detention center on Australian territory, they're Australian. But, if you are kicked out because you came illegally, the child will go with you if they are underage. Now, when they grow up, they say, actually, I was born in Australia and I have an Australian birth certificate. Then they can claim their citizenship. Doesn't it make sense? Because otherwise they separate with the child, they're contributing to the child protection issue, where they say, oh, then if you kick the mother or the father, the parents out, who's going to look after the child? That's the issue. But they will never give you citizenship because your child was born in Australia. No. Yeah, citizen for the child who was born, not for the parents. And unless you go through a normal process, you are lucky, you get your citizenship. Now everyone is happy. The child stays, you stay. Sorry? Yeah, so for example, I give you, I hope there's no Australian listening to me what I tell this one. For example, all my PhD students, Australia, if listening, don't blame me, but I do that. All my PhD students, I've managed to get them citizenship. So usually come to do a PhD as an international student, but 100% I managed to fund them a visa on completion under the Global Talent Visa. So Global Talent Visa is where Australian is short in skills. Then when we finish, I give you a letter of recommendation, look at the list of talents. Then I say, no, this X ever finish a PhD in this area, it's a priority, it's under the visa, blah, blah, blah. And most of them have got it. I've had the Bangladeshi who are Australian. I've had a Nigerian who are Australian. So there's an example now. When you are studying, you give birth there, you are not Australian when you finish, you go back. But if I manage to get a visa under talent, then you stay. And the child stays. Does it make sense? That's one example. Another example is when you come to work, your employer sponsors you for permanent residence. It happens. You know how employer will recruit you temporarily, come work for 2 years, you go back. But if you are good, they want to retain you, then they apply for you for a permanent visa. That's another example. So there are so many pathways you can use to get citizenship in Australia. Yeah, but it's not easy. But there are many multiple pathways. Yeah. I've answered your question.
Okay, because of time now, I think it's 4:15. Wow, it's just run out of our schedule because the topic is very interesting. I think the marvelous and the magnificent our speakers is from Australia, from Czechos, and from Indonesia. Indonesia is not far from Bogor. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, make applause again for 3 hour speakers. Okay. And although the problem is child well-being and child protection is very broadly and very widely, but I think the speakers in here already make so much solution that we can make implementation in our life. Okay, thank you very much again for our speakers, and I'll give back again to our master of ceremony to I will be finished about the session of discussion. Okay, I'll give back to Master Ceremony, Miss Zara.
Thank you so much. Of course, thank you so much to our moderators who did the presentation session perfectly. And of course, to all the speakers, thank you so much for the insightful information to us. And of course, after this is giving token of appreciations to the speakers from Dr. Chito SPMM, Secretary of Human Resources Development Centers. And Bapak Ibu kami hormati, boleh ke sebelah sini mungkin ya, biar cepat aja. Silakan. Ya. Mohon maaf Ibu. Ya. First, maybe for Professor Andre. Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Andre from Western Sydney University from Australia, who gave very insightful information on this afternoon, met with the friends, yeah. Yeah, meet and greet with Professor and the friends. Okay, next time with Miss Eva. Thank you so much for the insightful. Okay.
Yeah. Oke, terima kasih.
Yeah. And next up, of course, for our moderators to lead this presentation session perfectly and smoothly. Makasih ya Mbak, ininya tepuk tangannya yang ramai. Yeah, after this we'll have a photo sessions together, of course, with the friends of Professor Andre, ya. Okay. Yang on, of course, for the participation who joining by online, can open your camera and we will photos together. Because you are a star of today, mister. You are not a monster, you are a star for today. Nah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Special for you.
Thank you. You're a very good student.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Siap, 1, 2, 3. Ya, bebas, Bapak Ibu. Bebas.
Okay, thank you so much.
My souvenir to go to school. I can remember Mrs. Eva's class, Dr. Eva's class. I say Dr. Eva's a star when they we start.
Prof. Andre, sorry, can you move a little bit your certification? No, I mean this.
Don't worry, I'm not here.
I really pay attention to detail.
Siap, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you so much. But ladies and gentlemen, okay. After this, yeah, ma'am. After this, yeah, we haven't finished our session. We haven't finished our session because, yeah, because after this, we will hear the closing ceremony and closing statement from Dr. Sito, is Secretary for Human Resources Development Center. So, Bapak Sito, waktu dan tempat kami persilakan.
Baik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore, salam sejahtera buat kita semua, Bapak Ibu sekalian. Saya mewakili Kepala Pusat P2SDM pada sore hari ini akan menutup kegiatan kita. Dan terima kasih banyak kepada para narasumber yang luar biasa, pembicaraan yang sangat bagus ya, dan saya pikir ini menjadi bagian penting buat kita semua. Dan thank you for Profesor Andre dan Dr. Jana Koci ya, dan Ibu Eva dari IPP dan Pak Johan ini yang luar biasa ya. Oke, baik. Kami melihat bahwa ini luar biasa. I would like to accept ya, coach you of your activity participation in setful contribution and unwavering commitment the critical issue. Dan let's us care with us the lesson learned ya, beberapa hal tadi yang disampaikan, cerita dan beberapa hal yang menjadi kita menjadikan pencerahan buat kita semua ya, dan kita semua komitmen terhadap hal-hal yang terkait dengan anak ya dan kesejahteraannya. Thank you for being part of this crucial discussion and for your dedication to making the fun in life of children around the world. Dan and may your part or again in our serve mission to champion the right and well-being of every child. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And of course, once again, thank you so much to all the speakers and moderators. And of course, thank you so much to the participants. The guys, ya. Luar biasa ya, penonton dahsyat. Baik, luar biasa. And of course, thank you so much to all the participants online by Zoom. Thank you so much for your attendance and have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.